This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Welcome back to Rock Bottom with Ryan. Today's episode is a powerful one. I sit down with a mother, a nurse, and a survivor, someone who faced the darkest moments of alcoholism while working on the front lines during the chaos of COVID. She carried the weight of others' lives while quietly losing herself to the bottle. But through resilience, recovery, and raw honesty, she fought her way back. Now, she's not only sober, she's a fierce advocate for women, mothers, and healthcare workers navigating the same struggle. Her story is about pain, purpose, and the kind of strength that comes from hitting bottom and choosing to rise. Let's get into it.
My name is Stephanie Kelly. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago, though. Been in Milwaukee 16 years.
All right. How long have you been sober at this moment?
Let's see, a little over 4.5 years.
What was your drink or drug of choice?
It was definitely alcohol was my drug of choice, even though when I was younger and throughout the years, there had been some other dabbling, but alcohol eventually was what took me down. Certain alcohol that was really my favorite. It was anything, but in the end, it was vodka that took me down like fast. The final year or year and a half was straight down.
Can you give a brief overview of how drinking started in your life in the earlier days prior to where it got, for the last year?
Sure. In the early days, in my 20s, it was for fun. And I used to call myself a rock star. I know we're not supposed to talk about the fun part of it, but in my 20s, it was fun. I loved dancing and going out to clubs, and I did have a lot of fun. It did not interfere with work, in a way of not showing up to work. I always showed up to work. Was I in the best shape or not? Remains to that's questionable, but it didn't interfere. I was able to pretty much function. It did interfere with family stuff, though. I would definitely sometimes cancel plans and not show up on the weekends to birthday parties or things of that nature in my 20s. And then in my 30s, I had 3 pregnancies and I did not drink during my pregnancies. I thought, oh, I got this. I can make it through 9 months and have I only had maybe a glass of wine, at the end. And so I thought I had it under control, which we really know it really never was.
It was under control. You were functioning well in life. It didn't really hold you back or have any of the effects that when people consider themselves an alcoholic.
I mean, it probably certainly did affect my performance or, how well I was feeling or my patience because I wasn't feeling well. What I can say is that I had sleeping trouble when I drank and alcohol insomnia. I would go to bed at 10, tipsy, and I would wake up at 2 a.m. And so I think for years, I know for years, I would wake up and lay in bed for 2 hours, wasting time, trying to fall back asleep with my heart racing and dry mouth. And then I would get up and start housework and doing laundry and making lunches all before an 8 or a 12-hour shift at work. And so it actually seemed like I was crushing it because I couldn't sleep. I wasn't one of those people that passed out for 10 hours, which is ultimately what started my downfall, the lack of sleep and the bad idea to start drinking myself back to sleep.
And you think alcohol played a huge role in your lack of sleep and caused anxiety or anxiety?
Oh, absolutely. Because if I didn't drink, I slept great. I knew it. I laid in bed not being able to sleep, Googling it. Does alcohol affect your sleep? And seeing other people having the same problem and saying the same thing. And now, on the social media aspect, seeing other people share about that all the time, the anxiety, the 2, 3 a.m. wake up, I didn't realize how prevalent the problem is and still is. And I also noticed and remember my mother, who's not an alcoholic, having like drinking 2 or 3 glasses of red wine at a wedding and then not being able to sleep. And she Googled it and she's like, oh, yeah, red wine causes insomnia. And so I'm not going to drink it anymore. And I was like, oh, yeah, me too. And I didn't say this. I thought this, like, oh, yeah, me too. Yet I still continued to drink it. I knew exactly why it was. I couldn't resist the after work, making dinner, wanting the wine.
Yeah, I had no idea that red wine actually played a role in insomnia. Huh.
It's any alcohol for a lot
Okay.
of people,
Just feel
not
like
for
the
everybody.
sugars and everything.
Yeah, so the
Just
alcohol, puts you to sleep and does the relaxing part, but when that wears off in 3 or 4 hours, the sugar spikes, and then that at least that's what I've read. Yes, and terrible. Like I would lay there being, knowing I had a 12-hour shift ahead of me. And so things seemed great on like the organization aspect at home and the calendar and the laundry. And now that I sleep better, and I was doing those things because I was anxious and I couldn't sleep. And so now that I'm sober and I'm relaxed and I can sleep, sometimes it's a little less organized and there's a little less laundry done. But if that means I'm sleeping better, then that's amazing and I'll take it.
so during that period where you would say you were functioning well and being so productive and you were killing it sounds like. So did you ever consider, hey, maybe I'm an alcoholic, but the fact that I'm still getting everything done, there's no need to quit? Or were you telling yourself, maybe this is a problem, but I can quit if I feel like it, but I don't need to right now?
I absolutely knew I was an alcoholic. I knew that from the beginning. It runs in my family. The first time I got drunk, I had a craving within days and was drinking at home alone in my 20s. And I just wasn't ready. Like it was such a part of my social life and the culture here in Wisconsin. I couldn't imagine having fun without it. Even though I'm super fun without it, I didn't know that then. And it was always a thought in my head at a family party. Am I drinking too much? Drink an alcoholic beverage, drink a water, rotate, don't make an ass out of yourself. This is a family event. This is a wedding, whatever the case may be. And I always failed at controlling it. And so there was no doubt in my mind I was an alcoholic. I just wasn't ready. It was under control, meaning I was still functioning well, but definitely in my head, that little voice in my head knew that I would be better sober. I
Or
remember when I was pregnant with my second child, not being able to drink and like laying in bed and reading to my son at bedtime. And I remember thinking, like, I'm a better mom when I'm sober. And after she was born, I went right back. It was just calling me and waiting for me.
was a lot of this drinking done on your own at this point, or were other people starting to call you out on it?
No, I was not on my own. We have like my neighborhood is super social. We had bonfires, and so the adults would be hanging out and drinking and the kids would be running around, it was it was in the house, friends over football, I mean neighbors over for football, any excuse to drink. It was not all alone. There were certainly days that I was drinking alone, but it wasn't to the point where it got to in the end.
Okay. So probably not a lot of DTs, withdrawals and stuff at this point.
No, no, nothing. And
Okay.
my drinking got bad in 2019. Like it
Can you
just,
can you go into detail of how it transformed from where it was then, manageable, to where it was in 2019?
sure. So after my third child was born, he had some minor health issues that caused a lot of extra laundry. I'll leave it at that. And I was waking up in the middle of the night and I was thinking, I am so exhausted. I have 3 kids. I have 18 loads of laundry, maybe six loads of laundry to do. And I cannot be this tired. Like I need to function. I need to sleep. And so a non-alcoholic would have given up the drink so that you could function appropriately. And my alcoholic brain came up with the super bright idea that maybe if I drink myself back to sleep at 2 a.m., I'll sleep better and then I won't be so tired. And so my third son child was born in 2017. I nursed him for almost a year. And as soon as that was done, and I pumped and dumped and did all those things. And when I was done was when it really took off, when I was done nursing him. So that was like 2018, mid ish. Like I wasn't keeping a journal. So I started drinking like beer or wine that was in the house. And it took a little while for me to fall asleep. It worked, but I was still like maybe up, I don't know, hour or two. And so somewhere along the line in late 2018 or 2019, I got the even brighter idea that maybe vodka would put me to sleep faster. These were not drinks. It was unmeasured vodka out of a bottle, like warm, gross, disgusting, cheap vodka,
How would you
and
drink that
not
usually?
pouring
Like
it.
with shots or mixed drinks or
Oh no, there was no drinks. I was drinking out of the bottle,
oh,
like warm vodka, disgusting, like out of a movie, like literal, real alcoholic. Like I'm a real alcoholic.
oh,
There is no other way to put it. And I was so grossed out by it. Like it didn't taste good. It's not like it was literally only drinking for the effect to put me back to sleep. And then it progressed until then I would have a little bit before work, and I was super careful about that, but I wasn't drinking at work. And then it got to the point, 2019, I mean, things were bad. It was to the point where I was picking up shifts at work because I knew if I was at work, I wouldn't drink. And instead of taking my days off, like as a nurse, I might have a Tuesday and a Thursday off because I worked the weekend. I would pick up shifts, which is sad because I wasn't with my kids when they were little as much as I could have been for that year or 18 months. And then, so by the end of 2019, it was bad. It was out of control. I was sneaking bottles in and out of the house. Nobody knew. Now, everybody knew I drank. Everybody knew I drank too much. But my personality started changing, like irritability, cranky, no patience with my kids. And then COVID happened. And even before it hit here, when it was happening in China, I'm watching the news and they're building this like 1,000 bed hospital in a week. And they're downplaying it. And I'm like, what? Why are they building such a big hospital if it's no big deal? And then it started spreading. And then I watched it in Europe and I forgot Seattle, I think, and then New York City. And I'm an inner city ICU nurse. And watching what they were doing, I was like this is coming here. I am going to have to do this.
you knew your
And
life
so,
was about to change.
correct. And my drinking was already totally out of control. So I'm not blaming it on COVID. I definitely dealt with COVID by drinking even more. And it was awful. The March of 2020 through May, I was drinking before work. I would start getting the shakes and the sweats by like 2 in the afternoon. And everybody was already sweating anyway because all the gowns and the PPE. And so I was hot to begin with, dehydrated, sweating. I mean, if it wouldn't have been for the PPE, like my coworkers might have caught on sooner. The PPE, personal, like gowns and masks and all that stuff. Somehow nobody knew. I had a whole system. I would chew gum. I would have cough drops. I put lotion on. I had body spray. I was surprised that like I wasn't sweating it out my pores, or maybe just everything was being sanitized so much that it blended in with all the like environmental things. I don't know. So I got to a point in May of 2020 when I could not take another day at work like that. And I had a really bad day with 2 COVID patients. Don't need to go into the details. It was bad. And I stopped on my way home and got a bottle and I was like, I'm not going back. I had the intention of, I was so sick. I was taking care of those patients. I was shaking and sweating and withdrawing. And I thought, like, I can't do this anymore. And my intention was to get help, admit what was wrong immediately. I was married at the time. I'm not going to go into that any further, but I was going to admit what was wrong and like I knew I needed to go to the hospital for alcohol withdrawal and treatment probably. And it took me like 4 to 5 weeks, maybe six. I don't know the exact timing of it all, but I was drinking 24/7 on the couch at home. My kids were here in this room, and I was lying and saying that it was PTSD and depression from COVID nursing until I got caught with a
Would be
bottle.
valid reasons and not even consider them excuses, to be honest. But at the same time, you're drinking, you're trying to come up with any scapegoat at the so
Totally.
yeah.
Yes. So I'm not blaming COVID at all. If anything, it was a good cover up. I mean, my drinking was already terrible and that crashed into COVID. So it was just the timing. Like literally it was not planned. I didn't plan how anything was going to happen. If anything, I always thought that I would be like what you asked me earlier, like just, oh, this is a problem. I'm going to stop. I knew I was going to have to quit at some point. I don't know why. I mean, my brain didn't let it happen any other way. Like it just happened the way it happened, and it is what it is. And it got me to where I am today. So we say don't regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. And so it's just part of my story. And it got me to where I am today. So
Good.
yeah.
So what would you consider your rock bottom moment? Can you go describe kind of in detail what a 24-hour period would look like at your worst? And when you decided, hey, this is exactly when I'm going to get help, what turned the corner?
Getting caught with the bottle. I was waiting to get caught. I don't know why I couldn't ask for help. I got caught. And the first thing I said was, I need to drink to stop the shakes. I need to go to the hospital for alcohol withdrawal. Like I was relieved. I was like, let's go. I'm ready.
How long were you in the hospital?
5 days.
Yeah.
The ICU nurse was in the ICU, tried to be a good patient. I mean, okay, when I say good patient, I mean in terms of alcohol withdrawal. I wasn't hitting people, spitting on people, yelling and swearing. I laid there extremely humble, grateful for the help, grateful that I was finally getting help and admitting like it was a huge weight lifted off of what I had been hiding. And I was in no shape to think about like what was going to happen because of all that at the time. I was sick. It was awful. I mean, as a nurse witnessing it, it's like, yeah, okay, you're puking. It gives you a whole new perspective of everything. They do scores. I've done it for years for, on alcoholic patients. I always loved taking care of them because of my family history. And now it was me. And I remember laying there when they would ask me the questions like, are you hallucinating, pins and needles, auditory, visual, or GI upset, headache? I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Whoa, my score is high. And
So you can relate just being a nurse and you've seen people come in with DTs and withdrawals and you've been on the other end of it. How was it really bizarre being on the other side this time and being
like in the first 72 hours, I was too sick and too medicated to like even. I just remember thinking like, I can't believe I let this happen. Like, I cannot believe I let it get this bad. But then once I started getting a little better and they started weaning the benzos, then I was a little climbing out of bed and they had a bed alarm on me. It's not funny. I should not be laughing. It's just funny as an ICU nurse, like then all of a sudden you're climbing out of bed and the alarm's going off. And I'm like, well, I have to go to the bathroom and nobody's coming. So made me more attuned to answering call lights in a timely fashion, even though we try that no matter what. But yeah, it was crazy. Like I took the heart monitor off and I'm like, I don't need this anymore. Like I'm not going to have heart problems. They were probably like, yeah. And then I said, I'm tolerating my fluids. Like drinking fluids. Like I don't need this IV fluid anymore. It's just making me pee every 5 minutes. So maybe as I woke up a little more, I was a little slightly difficult, but I've definitely taken care of other patients that are like need to be restrained or intubated on a ventilator for alcohol withdrawal. And so on the spectrum, it could have been worse. I was with it enough and had high enough of a tolerance that I remember. Like I was not delirious. Some patients don't remember that time period at all. And I'm sure I don't remember everything, but I certainly remember bits and pieces. And I tried to be as cooperative as possible for sure. Thank God I was not where I work. I was far away.
Good. Good. So nobody knew
Yeah.
you. How much do you think you were consuming towards the end there? Maybe half
Bottles.
gallon bottles. Yeah.
Bottles. It depended. And when I was sneaking at home, it was big bottles. My family, when I was in the hospital, my parents came and helped to clean, and they found bottles, little bottles, because I had to sneak them in. So I have no idea because they found them all over the house. So I'm lucky they found some underneath the kitchen sink by the cleaning supplies. Like I'm lucky that I didn't drink Pine Sol. I don't
Oh,
know.
people found bottles in my golf bag when I was in the hospital. I couldn't believe that my hiding places were very creative when I was drinking.
So same with me. So for like the first year after alcohol, after I was trying to get sober, I always put up the holiday decorations for every holiday. And so I Rubbermaid bins in the crawl space in the basement. And I would open the Valentine's decorations or Christmas and there's bottles in. So I was like in the crawl space in the basement. I don't know. Yeah. And
So
every time I'd find one, I'd be like, so bad. I'm so thankful that it's not my life anymore.
do people in your life, loved ones, friends, do they ever kind of give you an idea of what it was like when you were going through that period? Because I'm sure a lot of us don't remember what we were doing towards the
Yeah.
end. Do they comment on that and remind you to never go back?
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember being impatient with my children. I remember I was never suicidal, but I do remember thinking, man, I'm doing these kids like more harm than good. Like maybe they'd be better off without me. I didn't know what that meant. Like they needed a sober mother. That I mean, that's what I knew. My parents told me after I got sober that they had considered. They thought I was having like a mental breakdown, like mental health issues, like onset of schizophrenia or bipolar. They thought I was going crazy, and they had discussed like going to court and trying to become a guardian and take the kids. They told me that after I got sober. There's no words. I mean, they
And
just a sober mother. Yeah.
so, how, after being in the hospital, what was recovery like after that? Did you go to treatment? Did you just go home and start controlling it? How did that
No,
go?
I went to treatment. I was not quite welcome back at home at that point. Understandably so. Looking back, that was really the best decision. I wouldn't have like driven to outpatient daily and not gone to the liquor store. I just, even though I knew I needed to get sober, I still somehow thought that I was going to drink like a lady. Okay, now that I'm detox, I could drink less or, whatever. Like it was, I was processing it, I was accepting it, and I just wasn't to full acceptance yet that abstinence is the only way. Like I have an allergy. If I drink alcohol, it triggers it and I want more. And the only way to avoid that is to not put it in my body at all. And so I struggled so after I got out of treatment, the first time I drank immediately, like straight back to the old way, I don't know, for a week or two.
How long
And
were you
then
in
I
treatment the
in
first time?
30 days,
Oh, and how
29,
long in between getting out of treatment and that first drink?
2 days, maybe.
Can I ask what was going through your head those 2 days? Were you trying to convince yourself that you could just have one, or were you just
No,
like ready to go back to it?
no, I felt super strong and I was like, I'm going to do this. And I was motivated and I was driving to a meeting and there's a store. The car just drove itself right there and I had no control. It takes a little while, I think, to like rewire the brain and it just wasn't rewired yet. And honestly, I now know that that was not my rock bottom. At that time, I had empathy, I had support. People were rooting for me and cheering me on. And that wasn't low enough. I mean, I wish it would have been, So I struggled. So I drank, I don't know, in June of 20 or July of 2020. And then I went to my doctor because I was having abdominal pains. And I'm like, okay, now like something's really wrong. And nothing was, thank God. And she prescribed naltrexone, which is used to treat alcohol cravings, as well as like they find a cross tolerance with opioids and taking naltrexone. So I took the pills and I was able to get, and I think it did curb the craving. And I got 60 days of sobriety, and I was going to meetings and I was doing steps one, two, and three with my sponsor. And I thought I was making all the efforts, and then I would slip up. And I don't know, whatever, like a 250 cc bottle, I don't know. And like in a day, they were lapses or whatever. And then I would get 60 days again. So for 6 months, I struggled.
How many
And
relapses total do you think there were in between periods of
two,
sobriety?
2 or 3
Okay.
1 day episodes, and I would start my day count over, and I would go back to steps one because I hadn't accepted that I was powerless over alcohol. So then you go back to step one. So I was doing that, and there was alcohol in my house. There was people drinking in my house when I was trying to get sober. And then it was not a super peaceful environment. And in December of 2020, there was an episode. It actually took place on a Sunday. And I made it that whole week without drinking. I was fighting it. Like the mental relapse happens before the physical relapse, right? And I'm like, I'm not going to drink over this. I'm not going to drink over this. And as soon as the next weekend, I dropped my kids off at my parents to babysit. They were babysitting. And as soon as my kids were safe and they were with my parents, the car went straight to the liquor store. I was in my car drinking and driving, like out of the bottle of vodka. And this is December of 2020. And I crashed. I hit another car. The people had minor injuries. My car spun out, crashed into the median. All the windows shattered, all the airbags deployed. There was glass all over me in December, and it was cold, and I kept driving. So the nurse who normally stops to help people is now hit and run with injury and felony charges. And I was in southern Wisconsin, right by the border of Illinois, and I crossed into Illinois. And so I had a DUI in each state for the same event, one in Wisconsin, one in Illinois. I was arrested in Illinois, and I spent 6 days in jail over Christmas of 2020. I was away from my children for Christmas. And that what not Christmas, because so I woke up December 21st in jail, and that was it. Like I knew that was it. I could not go on like this. I could not go on risking my life, leaving my children motherless. And it's just like what everything they say in my 12-step program is true. Like, you think you can control this? Go back out there and do it again. Try to control it. So the first time I had empathy, I had support, I had people around me cheering me on. The second time I injure people, I could have killed people. I could have been in jail for years for vehicular homicide. And then people were pissed. And I came out, I went to treatment again, and there was not support anymore. It was like
a lot of those people had your back at that point.
they were done having my back, and they were like, "You're ridiculous." And that was it. So I had a spiritual experience with God in that jail cell. And the way that I was begging him for help was different than before. Before it was like, God, if you're there, why are you letting me suffer like this? And why are you letting me chug disgusting vodka like this? Like, help me, stop me. And then in jail, it was like from true humility, the true utmost bottom of my heart, like, God, I'm begging you to help me. if you help me with the cravings and relieve me of the obsession, I promise that I will recover out loud and proud, hold the door of AA open for newcomers, be there to be a sober mother. Like, I just need relief from the mental obsession. It was not letting go. And it is gone. It was gone since I left jail and went to treatment. I have not had a craving, meaning like a craving, like, oh my God, I really want to drink right now. Versus, have I had thoughts? Yes. But that's just like that part of my brain that's still, you pass it in the liquor store and I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I don't do that anymore. Or not liquor store, grocery store.
It takes a long time for us to rewire ourselves completely. I mean, kind of like you said earlier, just driving past a liquor store or a mini mart, your car just kind of does the driving for you at that point.
Right. And now, so then I got out of jail. And when I got out of treatment again, I was like, yeah, today, liquor store. Like, I wonder what the clerks think about, like, man, she must have died or got sober.
Yeah,
Is she
business went down the drain.
right?
Yeah, there's somebody at the mini mart that I would buy a lot of my little wine coolers and stuff towards the end of before I went to the hospital. And he made a joke when I went in to fill up the tank and get some Zin pouches or something. And it's just like, we restocked that part of the fridge strictly for you, right? And I was like, that's not a good sign. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And I used to rotate. A lot of people share this too, but I used to rotate the stores that I went to. So they didn't even know the whole story. There was probably 10 stores. I don't know. And then I had to dispose of the bottles. So I was stopping at like bus stop garbage cans and throwing them away. And I'm an avid recycler. And so it was like all these things that are so against me, like against my normal self, all these rules that I was breaking.
Same here. Whenever I'd go to a gas station, I mean, every time I would fill up their trash cans there, and I would just be looking around, hoping nobody sees me putting bottles into there. It's so embarrassing.
I had a blue bag. I disguised the bag because I had to sneak them out of the house. It was all, it was crazy.
The insanity and the things we do. It's
mental obsession. I mean, God, I just thank God. I still can't believe that I got sober. I can't believe that I've been able to get a lot of days together. It's a miracle. Living this life is a miracle and a blessing. And as we know, I can't describe it to anybody until you've gone through what I went through, or we go through. In the end, that insanity, being away. Oh, so I didn't mention, because of all this happened in 2020 during COVID, when I was in the hospital and then treatment the first time, I didn't see my kids for 35 days because there was no visiting because of COVID. And then I was in jail for 6 days and treatment again, and I didn't see my kids again for 35 days. So after going through all of that, I just knew like I might not live. Like, I'm running out of chances here. And I had a seizure after the hospital. That's another long story. But from benzo withdrawal after alcohol withdrawal. So I survived. I survived a seizure and a head injury and biting my tongue. And then I survived a car accident. I survived my BAC being so high, mixed with benzos, that who knows like how well I was breathing multiple times. And I couldn't, there was no more chances left. Like I was just done.
Do you think you were taking the benzos as prescribed, or do you think you were taking too many, or just mixing them with alcohol being the dangerous part?
I was taking them as prescribed. There was only one pill per day. I was taking them inappropriately because they were supposed to be at bedtime for insomnia, and I was taking them at like 2 a.m. for insomnia while I was drinking myself back to sleep. So the dose was not like not that it matters. It was prescribed, but I wasn't taking extra street doses or something like that. It was a small dose, but over 9 months, I had built up a tolerance to it. And then I was in the hospital and I received massive doses of benzos for alcohol withdrawal. And they cut me off cold turkey and sent me to rehab. So at the first rehab in June of 2020, I was there for day one and I was not feeling right. And I would start seeing spots which is called your aura before a seizure. But I didn't know what it was. And my hands were shaking. So I did know that it was benzo withdrawal. I didn't know that you have a higher chance of having a seizure from benzo withdrawal than you do from alcohol withdrawal. And so I didn't tell anybody because I thought if they send me back to the hospital, it's going to delay me getting back to my kids. So I had a seizure.
And if you would have told anybody, they would have assumed it was strictly due to alcohol and judged
Or that I
choice.
was faking, or I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know if they would have taken it seriously or not. They knew I was not feeling well because I hadn't slept the whole first night, and they thought I was manic, and that annoyed me. And I was like, maybe if you would have recognized the signs and symptoms of benzo withdrawal and not said I was manic, but whatever, it's water under the bridge. I had to learn to shut my mouth as a nurse and be the patient, which was super hard at the first rehab because there was lots of things. There was no nurse there, and I was like, I couldn't shut it off.
I think the term manic is getting used pretty loosely these days, but do you think that you had any history of suffering from like basic anxiety, depression before?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nothing. I am not a depressed person.
Because you seem like a pretty social person and comfortable with people. So.
I'm not depressed. I've never been depressed. I don't have any dual diagnoses. Thank God. I'm grateful for that. Not yet. Who knows? It could happen, right? I was on sertraline because I was complaining of anxiety. I knew it was from drinking. I was lying, trying to get benzos. I manipulated my young doctor into prescribing them. It's just what you do when you're. So I was taking sertraline and then benzos, and then they put me on trazodone, and so there was a period also mixed in their first year of recovery that I was kind of catatonic, like not functioning great, super sleepy because I was overly medicated.
When alcohol wasn't even involved, it was strictly medication.
Correct.
Okay.
After I got out of treatment the second time. So it was actually 2021. And my sober date is 12/21/2020. So in January, February, March, like maybe till summer of 2021, I was not functioning normally. And it was
a
not
good 6-7 months.
Yeah. And when I left treatment, they're like, don't change anything for the first year. Don't do anything drastic. Don't change your meds. Don't buy a new house. Don't refinance. Don't make it any major decisions. And I was like, something is not right. And of course, being a bad nurse patient, I just weaned myself off the meds. So then the next time I went to my doctor, I was like, no, stop that. Nope, stop that. And I was back. And so I knew it was. But people would explain things to me and I'd be like, really, it was not, the wires were not connecting. They were overly sedated.
And other people were probably noticing that too.
Oh, absolutely. And it was not greeted with compassion or that I was recovering or that my brain was rewiring. No one thought that it could be medications. And I was called lazy and, I wasn't cooking, which in reality I was. Everything just happened very slowly. I wasn't organizing the calendar for kids' sports. I was lazy. I was only working part-time, which was part of my discharge planning. It was agreed upon by all parties involved that I would stay part-time for the first year. It was my youngest son's. He was in half-day 4K, so it was the last year that he was going to be home with me. And after raising 3 kids and working so much, I wanted that time with him. And I will never regret doing that. Absolutely not. But from family members, it was not greeted with compassion. It just wasn't good.
So how long after your sober date would you say the first 6-7 months were pretty rough, it sounds like, but how long, once you started feeling like yourself again, did everything start to come together?
So for the first 2 years of my sobriety, I stuck with AA. I stuck with the old timers. I was on Zoom meetings. I'm picking my words carefully. There was resistance for me going to meetings. Like, oh, you're leaving me with the kids again. And so I just did Zoom because then I could be at home with my kids. So I was not, and I would, if I did go to an in-person meeting, I would go, out for coffee or Saturday spaghetti dinner. And I was like, there has to be more than this. Like, I hear other people in Zoom meetings talking about hiking and these activities and sober sports and groups. And so for the first 2 years I stuck with AA. I ended up separating from my husband, and then when he started taking the kids on the weekends, that's when it hit me like, okay, now what? Everything had been about my kids, right? And so when I didn't have them, I knew I had to find something different. And so I Googled sober activities Milwaukee, and the first thing that popped up was the Phoenix. And I'm wearing their shirt, and I am just absolutely in love with the Phoenix. I my first event was yoga, and the instructor and the vibe that I got from the people, I knew that this was going to change my sobriety. I continue to do my 12-step program. I am very active. Um, this is the best addition to my 12-step program. This is social activities, sporting activities. This is a social active group. It's a national non-for-profit. I love to share about this so that other people know that it's out there. It's a free resource. And we play beach volleyball and karaoke. So there's active events for the physical people that can do it. And then there's social events for people that aren't as active or can't do it, or people like me that can do everything in between. And it's been amazing. I have met so many people. It opened my eyes not only to the world of AA, but to NA, Dharma, CA, like all these other things that I knew were out there, didn't know anybody in them. So like my recovery had been and now I see everybody and I have relationships with everybody, whether they're NA or CA. Like I don't care. Like we're all in this together, which is an amazing, for me, I feel it's amazing. Today, I'm wearing this Soberfest shirt. This is actually from 2 years ago, but the first Saturday in August, which is today,
Awesome.
in a few hours, is our annual Soberfest here in Milwaukee. And Milwaukee is known as Brew City. The Miller Brewing Factory is here. We have the Milwaukee Brewers baseball team. And so just the drinking culture in Wisconsin it's very acceptable to be.
Don't they have most bars per capita, like something? I heard some statistic. I went to Chicago like 10 years ago and then drove over to Milwaukee. I just remember seeing bars everywhere. It was perfect for me at the time.
Yeah, and some of them are like dive bars and there's 3 people in there and you drive by and you're like, how do they even stay open?
Yeah.
But whatever. So for 500, last year 700 people showed up. This year we're hoping for 1,000. For 1,000 people to drive from wherever they come from and pass all those bars and liquor stores and come to a park in the middle of Milwaukee and be sober for an afternoon and recover out loud and proud. It's a sober concert. There's motivational speakers, and then all of our other community resources come out and have tents. And so like if you're new to recovery or if you want to get sober, you could find a sober living home, or you could find this other nonprofit that does this, or you could meet new people in the Phoenix and find out when the next event is and go play volleyball next week. So thephoenix.org is where you could find that information. The app is called the New Form app, which is an umbrella and has like all these other mental health resources and recovery resources in one app. And that was the founder of the Phoenix's like vision, to have all these things together. I can't even describe the difference it's made in my life, being sober and, not feeling like, oh, I'm going to go to this birthday party at a bar because I'm solid in my sobriety and I don't have cravings. I'm safe to go there. Like, I just don't want to be there anymore. Like, I just had to find my people, and I found my tribe, and I'm so grateful.
Good. When it comes to situations like that, where you are invited to areas or places of people who will be drinking, is it easy for you just to say no, or are you just able to go in there comfortably now and just know I don't need to drink, but I can still be around those kind of people?
Oh, I'm totally comfortable being around it. to a point. When people start getting like intoxicated and acting funny, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to go home. Like, I just don't relate to that anymore.
Did it take a while to get to that point where you were comfortable?
Well, the night that I Googled sober activities Milwaukee, I had been at a party at a bar and I left at like 10 because I didn't want to be there anymore. And I was like, this sucks. My life sucks. Like my kids aren't here and I have nothing to do. And I could have chosen, like I have friends. I could have gone and sat at bars and drink an NA and hang out with them, but I didn't want to. I needed to find my tribe. Like I needed to find other sober people that were out having fun and they're out there doing that. I just needed to find them. And I did.
But it is nice having a group of like-minded people around you, sober people
Yes.
that have the same interests and want the same outcome.
Yes. It took me a little while to find them. I was like on Facebook finding other sober women in Wisconsin, and I met women and we'd go out for coffee and a walk. And I was like, okay, like this is a, I was looking for like group activities. And so I did it. It took me a little while, but you just don't give up. It's just like if they say you don't like this one meeting, you go to another until you find what you're looking for or a meeting that you like. And now that I've found the Phoenix, some of those women have come to Phoenix events as well. Um, yeah, it's amazing. And it's spread. The Phoenix is spreading. Anyone can start a new chapter anywhere. You just become a volunteer and put an event on the app. It's so amazing because it can be started in any community. Like anyone with a bike can arrange a bike ride, or anyone that teaches yoga could have a yoga class. So all the people that are volunteering are in recovery. So the yoga instructors in recovery, and the Tai Chi instructors in recovery, and the lady that is hosting karaoke owns a NA cafe that serves mocktails. Like you just have to find these places. I don't crave mocktails. Like I don't have any beer at home. Well,
Either.
actually, I have three right now because we had our block party and I had two and I lost one. But whatever. It's funny how they sit there forever as opposed to when I was drinking. I knew exactly how many were there, and there was never three waiting. They were gone. So but normal, like I don't know. I bought those 2 months ago and they're still here. So I'm coffee, Diet Coke, water is my are my go-tos.
Oh yeah, me, coffee and sparkling water, sparkling cans of water.
Yeah.
Were there any difficulties when you got sober besides getting used to being sober? I know that's not always easy, but were there any difficulties making amends with people or kind of repairing any of the wreckage from the past?
There were certain people who didn't want amends, who didn't accept them. No one in my family. For I'm going to leave it at that. And for the most part, my amends were accepted wholeheartedly and amazing. There are people who saw many bad performances from me, and I don't blame them. It's interesting to me that people tolerate those bad performances for years and tolerate that behavior, and then now don't want to know the sober me or don't want to give me a chance. But I understand. Like, it's okay.
But I'm sure a lot of amazing people that are coming into your life now, especially in the sober community, I'm sure they all appreciate who you become. So,
right. So it's just all part of it. And I understand it. I see other people struggling, and I know that there's nothing anybody could have said to me until I was ready. And so I say, like, I'm here, and if you ever are ready, I'll be here. I'll continue to be here. But there's really nothing I can do except continue to be sober, continue to be the best, in my opinion, the best influence I can be on my children. Knowing their genetics, alcoholism runs on both sides of their families back for generations, that hopefully they won't ever start drinking. I mean, that's what I hope and pray for my children, and that's why I'm doing this. That's what to decrease the stigma, to recover out loud and proud for them to share my story so they know, what I went through. I mean, they know. They know. My oldest remembers. Any questions they ask me, I give them honest answers. And I need to do that so that hopefully they don't have to go through what I went through. That's my biggest wish for my children.
Good. If you could talk to yourself, back in 2019 or when you were hitting your what you'd consider a rock bottom, what would you tell to yourself? And what advice would you give to somebody who is struggling today considering recovery?
I would tell myself that it's going to work out. It's going to be okay. There is an answer. You will find it. And don't quit 1 second before your miracle happens. Because that miracle happened for me in a jail cell. And I now believe that God put me there to have that event. And I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't know why. I should say I didn't know why. And I used to struggle with that. Now I believe that it's because I have a voice and I'm not shy and I'm going to carry the message. I think I was spared so that I could carry the message. I think all of us that make it to recovery are spared so that we can carry the message to the next person, that there is an answer. And I am pro sobriety. Like any pathway that works for you, do it. Just because it worked for me, like I know there's people that it doesn't work for. If podcasts and reading books works for you, then that's fantastic. That's why I'm doing this. So any pathway that works for you to get you sober or clean or your mental health better, give it 100%. Chase it. Chase it as hard as you chased your drugs and your booze and all the times that you went out of your way to get your drugs or your booze. That's how much energy you put into your recovery. And that's when I found relief.
Good. That was very well said. Is there a quote that you live by or any favorite quote that you have that stands out
Yeah.
that comes to your mind?
Yeah. It's funny because somebody wrote this to me in high school and I actually bought a little plaque and I still have it. And it's an Eleanor Roosevelt quote, and it's the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And so if you dream that you can get sober, then you chase it and you go get it. It's not a passive thing. You have to get it. Like, go get it. Who knew that it would apply to my life all these years later in this way? The most powerful thing is how amazing life is through clear eyes and a new perception. And I'm back to myself. Like I'm back to the person that I was before I started drinking, the person that didn't obsess over it, the person that didn't always think about it. And I am even better for it because I'm just as fun. And now my behavior is predictable. Like I'm not going to start crying or throw a fit and have a bad performance, aka go to the dark side type of drunk. And not 9 times out of 10 when I was drinking, I was fine. But there was that one time that was mortifying, and I don't do that anymore. And so that's the best part about sobriety. I mean, there's so many. One of the best parts is having
Sure.
predictable behavior and the clarity. I remember the stars looking brighter in early sobriety and the grass looking greener. And I was thinking all of my senses were dulled, all of them. And they're
Not anymore.
not anymore.
What do you want your legacy in recovery to be?
My legacy in recovery, I forgot to talk about this. There's a nurse group in Wisconsin called WISPAN, and it's support for nurses in recovery. I personally know several of them. And in the healthcare industry, people are afraid of admitting they have a problem. They're afraid of getting help that they're going to lose their license. Their doctor, pharmacy, nurse, whatever, OT, occupational therapist, physical therapist, anybody, that you're going to lose your license because you have a substance abuse problem. And especially where there's narcotics in the hospital and they could be diverted. That just was not my story yet. Like like we say, all the not yets. I mean, I never was into pills. As a matter of fact, after my C-sections, I remember kind of getting a rush from Percocet and thinking, whoa, I'm never going to do that because I know my personality and that was just, it just didn't happen yet. And that's another reason that I recover out loud and proud is because of my job to let people know that there is help out there. It doesn't matter your education level, your socioeconomic level, anything. It can happen to anyone. And people thought I was a really unlikely candidate once they found out they couldn't believe it. Just because you are working and everything seems fine on the outside, you never know what people are going through. You never know what's going on in a home or what someone is struggling with. And so I want my legacy to be that you can have fun and sobriety and you can recover out loud and proud. And if it helps one other person, it's all worth it. And if I help one other nurse know that she can seek treatment, know that at least my hospital worked with me, supported me when I was off work, held my job for me, and they continue to support me in the nurse monitoring program that I'm on. My management is amazing. Quarterly paperwork she has to do. I have to have supervisors there. She's one of my supervisors so that if somebody felt I was drunk at work, they would report to her. But everybody knows at work. So like I don't even feel like I need those supervisors because everybody's aware. Like everybody would know if I was off and why probably. So just being vocal about it and being a support person for anybody, not just an alcoholic, not just an addict, mental health issues, LGBTQT plus. I'm available as a support person for anyone who's struggling. And I might not be able to be there all the time or be your person, but I could be there in the crisis and connect you to who you need to get to. And that's all people that I've met through the Phoenix, different mental health people, sober living homes, domestic violence issues. I wouldn't have known all these things if I had just only been involved in it. And so it's really given me a platform to recover out loud and proud, and with a special emphasis on nurses and healthcare workers. Like my heart goes out to them.
Because you can relate to them. And do you feel like you're being outspoken about your sobriety and your recovery and helping others? Does that play a huge role in maintaining your sobriety?
Absolutely. I can't keep it if I don't give it away. I love a day at work when I'm assigned to take care of an alcoholic or an addict. I share my story openly so that they know. People look at me and they don't believe. They're they're shocked. And I'm like, well, I wasn't always doing this good, It's been a while. And to show them that you can maintain a nursing license and I could be a nurse and I can be an ICU nurse and have this history, opens the door to showing other people that it can be done. I don't ever like to say that if I can do it, you can do it too. I just don't like that. What I do like to say is that if God could pick me up, a girl that wouldn't get off the couch and wouldn't take care of her kids and wouldn't be a mother or a nurse or anything to anybody, if he could pick me up and brush me off, imagine what he can do for you.
Are there any difficulties in sobriety? Like, how do you deal with bad days, rough, traumas nowadays? What's your escape? Is it all the things you mentioned earlier, or there's a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, talking to people, no, nothing I have gone through has ever triggered a thought in the last 4.5 years that a drink is going to fix this. It was stamped on my brain, like branded on. Nothing justifies the first drink. I don't even ever think, wow, my patient died today, I'm going to go drink. No, like it's not an option for me. I'm not saying never. I know we never say never. I really can't imagine what would trigger that thought in me that like, oh, a drink is going to fix this. Because the last time I thought a drink was going to make a situation better, I crashed cars and totaled 2 cars and injured people and woke up in jail. So I already proved it to myself. And so I'm not saying I never have a bad day, but it's never bad enough to trigger a thought that I'm going to drink over this. No. I started a sober inspiration page to support nurses, to support everybody in sobriety, to just carry the message like so many other people do, and sharing all the different stories, me being a nurse, other people being whatever their message is. There's so many different ways to carry it. I just wanted a separate page devoted to only that. Like I was doing it on my personal page, and then I decided to devote a page to it. My handle is sober_Steph, STEPH_mom_nurse, because those are the most important things to me in that order. I have to be sober so that I can be the best mother, so that I can be a good nurse. And then everything else falls into place. I'm a good family member to everybody. I'm a good coworker to everybody. I'm a good friend and fellow. And so as long as I stay sober first, I'm able to do all those things. And that's what I wanted to carry on my Instagram page. And also the phoenix.org.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being on my new show, Rock Bottom with Ryan. You shared a very good story today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on, Ryan. I'm proud of you too, and the work that you're doing. It's amazing.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.